morning, everyone. We are back. We are back this morning. I decided instead of having a very relaxing morning, kind of just get into the flow of things, I would get on here and I would talk about PulseChain and Linux and mostly Linux and stuff about that. So thank you for joining me. I will get to a few questions too. It's kind of like, I'll go over a little bit of validator stuff. I see I get a question from Matt T-shirt in the chat on it. But yeah, if you have any questions on PulseChain or otherwise, put them in the chat. I'm going to share my screen and go through a Linux installation, or at least get partway through it. And I should be able to I might be able to use command line part of it too. If not, I'll pull that up as well, and I'll go through as much as I can. But yeah, I did a poll the other day asking people if they would be interested in like me just getting in here and talking about Linux and going through different commands and talking about just different stuff on it that would be helpful. Especially, I know a lot of people, when you're getting into doing validating, if you don't know Linux, you're just going to get stuck. It's just going to happen. You have to know basics of command line. You have to know how to look at the output of commands, understand errors and what they mean and things like that. Otherwise, you're just going to be, it's going to take you a while to wrap your head around doing the validator stuff. And I guess let's just reduce some of the pain by talking about it and help people learn more about it beforehand. And hey, if you want to install Ubuntu, I'll be using Ubuntu 2204, and I'll share the link for that too if you want to install it and kind of follow along if I do more of these. If they go well, you can do that as well. So I'll say hi to the chat, get into it. Only going for about 20 minutes today, 25 minutes, and that's all I got this morning, but made into another one. We'll see. And that is good coffee. First cup of the day, always the best. Matt, I'll get to your question in a minute. If I can show that, I will. Gamma, what's up, Gamma? Want to learn about Linux? It is a good thing to learn about. That is true. Appreciate you, man. I got to have you. Maybe I'll have you on the show for Validator AMA number 30. That one's coming up. You can. I'll try to DM you about that sometime. Dipslayer, shout out to another awesome validator person, Dipslayer. All you need to know is, I think that's an infinity loop, some kind of while loop. I mean, I see part of it. Yeah, I think it looks like a Linux joke for some kind of crazy loop that's very convoluted and a lot of stuff in it. Awesome, man. Yeah, Dipslayer knows a lot about Linux. I could tell from a lot of his scripts and documentation as well. What's up, TexX? Welcome. Red Squirrel, how's it going? Good to see you all. Par excellence. Good day to you as well. Vets. Yes, Vets has been setting up his validators and finally got it up and running, and that's the important part. It can be a struggle. Again, I've been motivated by seeing people struggle with Linux to talk about it more. So yes, that's what we're doing. So shout out to Vets in Crypto. He's a champ, and he's got his validator up and running, and that's awesome. It's one of the best feelings when you struggle through something, and you finally get it working, and you're like, yes, I did it. I put in the work. I did it myself. And hopefully we can have a community that shares documentation, helps people as much as they can, and gives you the tools you need to be the best version of yourself in the crypto DeFi space. That's what my channel description says, after all. Ted Nelson, welcome, Ted Nelson. Yes, 2204 is the standard for a lot of stuff and what we'll be talking about today. Yeah, Fort Bomb. I was so close. I was like, okay, I know it's there you go, Fort Bomb. We'll run out of resources. Boom. I like that. I haven't seen it for a while. Again, I'll get to questions in just a minute. I want to get into the installation a little bit. 22.4, it just works. That's true. I'm using UTM, which let me just share. I'll share the links real quick. So UTM, if you're using Mac, by the way, VirtualBox is apparently trash and doesn't work on Mac, which is unfortunate because that's like the free thing. And then VMware, it's great, but you got paid for it. So I was like, okay, what can people use that is free? I mean, VirtualBox, you can still try it on if you're using Windows. I'm sure it still works fine there, but I don't have a handy window box around me, thankfully, so I'm not going to try it. But UTM on Mac is pretty cool. I think it's free. I don't know. Somebody said it was like $10, but it didn't prompt me to pay for anything when I downloaded it. If you do it on the Mac store, maybe it's different, but If you download it, it's free. But anyways, it was super good. It's like a new modern virtualization software. So I'll drop the link in the chat in case you want to run it on. Oops, that is not the link. That is V without the control. So yeah, does it only support Mac, Windows, Linux, Me, Apple Silicon? Yeah, and it runs on M1, some of the latest Macs as well. So my Mac people in there, enjoy that. If not, go get VirtualBox if you want a free one. Want to pay for an awesome one? VMware is awesome. It's got really cool snapshot stuff and all that. VirtualBox is kind of like, hey, this thing works, except on Mac. It doesn't work on Mac anymore, apparently. Or at least I couldn't get it to. So you can download that, run VirtualBox for virtualization. And then Ubuntu, just type in Ubuntu 2204. Yeah, let's say I'm sharing my screen. Okay. And then go to Ubuntu Desktop. Don't download the server version unless you don't want any kind of GUI, unless you don't want to use the mouse. If you just want a command line, or if you want to go through a bunch of trouble to install extra packages for command line. But Ubuntu Desktop has everything by default, and then you can download it there. I actually downloaded it for ARM because I'm running M1 on the Mac. So UTM, funny story, real quick. Funny story. UTM can run. It can emulate. It's got two modes. It uses QEMU for emulation, and it uses just the virtualization stuff for whatever's running natively. So if I'm running M1, it's running ARM, then I need to download Ubuntu for ARM. So I had to do that. None of this stuff really affects anyone out there unless you're using UTM on M1. But it can also do x86, 64-bit, 32-bit Intel type processors with its emulation side. So UTM is pretty cool. I recommend checking that out. You know what? Funny story. I lived in for a while on Linux. I didn't have a GUI. I tried life without GUI for, it had to be a few months. A few months I did not have a GUI. Everything I used was like Ncurses based, which is like this terminal-based graphics. This was probably maybe 15 years ago or so. And I literally lived in the terminal. I did not have a GUI for months. I used instant messaging. There was different instant messaging apps that were terminal friendly. And I did that for a few months, and I was like, okay, I need some graphics. I need, you have web browsers and terminal, all that stuff's been around forever. What do they look like? Well, I'll show you a quick picture real quick. What was the Gamma? Tell me one of the command line based web browser. Can't think of any to mind. Lynx. So Lynx is like the classic one. 3MU. So two different kinds of links. E-Links is like the fancy one. So I'll just do E-Links real quick. This is what life looks like when you're using command line web browser. Yeah, sort of like this. And you're using like hotkeys, or you're using just like different ones. Yeah, I did that for a few months. So there you go. It's you can browse the web with a terminal. Yeah, this is a nice version of it. This is like a nice looking version. It's got actual colors and stuff. Some of them pretty cool. So yeah, VirtualBox. I could not get to work on Mac. I could finally get it installed one of the special versions, and I actually got it to install. And then I tried to run Ubuntu, and it just like nothing worked. Just kept failing. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll install it. All right. Let me get to questions on PulseChain real quick, right before I get to Linux. Montana of 3,000 will PLS correlate with Bitcoin dumps recession. Short answer is nobody knows. A lot of people think it's correlated with Bitcoin. A lot of people thought Hex wasn't correlated with Bitcoin, but now facts may have changed there. Especially, I mean, this is it's a big broader question. Yeah, we need to have a bigger show to go through that. But essentially, liquidity has changed a lot. Hex is a lot more tied with PLS right now. The broader crypto market seems to be tied with Bitcoin. That's what a lot of people say anyways. I don't have any super good insight on markets and dumps and recessions at this point, especially with RH products. Hard to say. I don't know. I think a lot of people getting excited about pumps and stuff, I would say why. I would ask the question, why would anyone be excited about, things going up 10% or 5% or whatever? To me, I expect nothing, but I'm not looking for like any euphoric run anytime soon. Is it happening here? Is the ETF here? Have we hit these key levels to go up? Are the stable coins, what do they look like? Like all this different data. None of the stuff has happened yet. So to me, it's just there's hopium flying back and forth, but I'm not looking, I'm setting my sights way up 2024, 2025 before I actually wouldn't be surprised to see any green candles then, but who knows? Maybe they'll never come back. But yeah, we believe we got plenty of people here with plenty of money, and I think we'll be okay. And then real quick to the PX question. For PX, we have a pump substantial amount here for BTK that's correlated. I don't know. It sounds like, I don't know. Again, I'm not a trader. So a lot of this stuff I purposely do not pay attention to. It's just, I can't think about anything else if I'm thinking about if I'm looking at TA and trying to make decisions based on that, move my coins around all the time. So yeah, I don't have any good answers for you. Sorry about that. You asked the question, which I'm least involved enough to give you a good answer on. Jay Cryptos, hey, RHMax, great idea for stream. Appreciate that. I'm using dual boot Windows Linux Mint because I need portability. Don't want to carry two computers, any specific vulnerabilities. I mean, just based on those two, that setup, I don't think of any vulnerabilities. Just, make sure you have good passwords and stuff. Turn on 2FA where you can. As far as login and stuff, I mean, dual boot is it's the same security setup as you would pretty much anything else. Dual boot is just, you get a prompt and it says, do you want to go to Windows? Do you want to go to Linux? And you just pick whichever one you want to go to. You log in from there. I can't think of anything security-wise unless you're really trying to do yeah, even then, when you run the different bootloader, if you have that password protected, that should run too. So yeah, I can't think of any vulnerabilities for that. Like I said, just have good passwords, good OPSEC, don't get it stolen, stuff like that. Use the encrypted option when you install it. I'll go through that. I should be able to show that when I pull up the installation too. All right. And then Matt, I don't know if I'm going to get to your question today. It depends on how quick I can install Ubuntu, but step-by-step walkthrough video descriptions to add a validator. I'm going to leave this in here. I'm going to leave. So this is the best documentation I have. You probably already looked at it, but I'm just going to put it in here in case anyone else is interested too. Can I add more than one validator? So again, I've not done this myself because I have not added any more validators, but CoinCashew has a ton of really good tutorials and stuff. So there's a command. I kind of just changed the chain to PulseChain, and they had a mainnet here for Ethereum. I changed it to PulseChain, and then you can just make sure you get your indexes correct and number of validators correct, and of course your address and stuff correct. But besides that, I mean, you're just using the deposit client and using the commands there. So creating the new keys for the validators, and that's it. This command is, again, just an example. I have not did this myself. Chain is PulseChain. So that's all I got for now. So it's kind of hard to do a demo of that because, yeah, I would need to set it up. I just don't want to do live demos for validator stuff because I don't know. I don't like leaking validator info and all that stuff. So yeah, it just gets kind of messy. So like I said, I've heard people do it before. If anyone ever does this and they want to record a video and put on YouTube or put on Twitter, I'll probably like or retweet that just so people can see it. But it really doesn't look that hard to me. It's just, you just do the index, do number of validators, and yeah, make sure you put your withdrawal address and stuff in. Should be good. Anyways, let's get to, yeah, people always confused on the end. I think that's the most important part. Yeah, getting that correct. You can run hundreds or even thousands. One day, I wonder if we'll see some super beefy computer running thousands of PulseChain validators. Never know. Actually, I don't know if I want that or not. Decentralization, but it would be cool to see as a as a tech nerd side of it. All right, let me stop the screen here. Go back and make sure Ubuntu is here. I don't know if I'm going to get to the full install, but so UTM, I can share it. Yay, you can see it. So this is Ubuntu. I just, again, I loaded the disk image. I downloaded the disk image. I loaded it into the virtual machine software, UTM, and I ran it as a live CD install. And now I can just double click install Ubuntu. Installation is pretty simple, English, if you want English. Your keyboard is US keyboard. Hopefully I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to do normal installation, but I'm not going to download updates because I can do updates later just to try to speed up the installation to see if I can actually do this quickly. Erase disk. So if you want a dual boot, you would do other options here and stuff, but this is a disk, and I'm just going to, it's a clean virtual disk. I'm just going to install Ubuntu on it, so I don't need anything else. And install now. And it's going to say, okay, here's the partitions I'm going to do. Are you cool with it? Yeah, cool with it. You do you, Ubuntu. Like, I don't need to change anything. Like used to in the old days, I would change, I want this particular partition, or I want this particular, by the way, click your time zone or wherever you're in. And then, pick I would partition in a certain way and get it, change my swamp levels to like be all performance. And like, you don't really need to do any of that these days, unless you are like a power user. So I'm just going to go, I'm just going to be named PLS and pick a password, whatever you want. I'm just going to pick a simple one. Do not pick a simple one when you're setting it up. It'll tell you how simple it is. And then require password to log in. Usually you want to do that. And the computer's name, I'm just going to call it Dominator. Let's call it that. Name it whatever you want. Yeah, this installation should be pretty quick. And if you want to be nerdy, click that. It'll show you what's going on in the command line of it doing all this stuff. I'm going to hide it for now. So it's copying the files over, it's installing it, setting up Ubuntu. And then once this is done, I'm going to reboot the virtual machine and then eject the disk, like the virtual disk, which is the ISO that I downloaded to install it. And then it will just boot up. I'll be able to log in as the user. And hopefully I'll be able to show that. Pretty quick. Again, if I was going to download the updates and stuff, it would take a little bit longer. But afterwards, you can just do apt-get update or apt update, and then apt upgrade and all that stuff. Installing the system. So a lot of the software you can use, for example, I'm live right now, so I can use, there's Firefox web browser installed by default. A lot of the stuff, there is differences between Mac, Windows, and Linux. But generally, I think a lot of people, they don't want to install Linux because, I don't know. First of all, it's new, it's a different interface. I don't know what to do. I'm going to be lost. I just want to get stuff done. Totally get it. That's why I tell people, if you're Linux curious or you're thinking about switching or whatever it is, just have another computer and just make yourself put whatever apps, make that your chat computer or your media computer, whatever it is. Make it your email computer, something where you need to use it daily or weekly or whatever. Have it to the side. Continue using whatever you're using now, your Windows computer, your Mac computer, and then just use that over time. Try to get used to it, learn it over time, and then eventually, you can cut yourself off. Oh, failure! I ran out of disk space. How am I running out of disk space on this? No, I was so close. Failure. I don't know if you guys seen the disk space error. How did this happen? That's so funny. Okay, well, that's not going to work. I was so close. Okay, I don't know if you all saw, but I ran out of disk space because apparently, How did it fill it up that quickly? That don't even make any sense. And then all this is frozen now. Cool. Okay, well, apparently I didn't give it enough disk space. I swear I gave it like 60 gigs. It should not take nearly that enough. Time to get a new Mac. I don't think it's my, I mean, maybe I should check my Mac. To do that, I would do df-h and check. No, I got plenty. Should have plenty. Should have plenty of disk space. Okay, is it still? It's not showing yet. Let me see. That is strange. Oh, nothing like that. Weak. Yes, bring it on. Bring the comments on. Welcome, by the way. What's up, AJ Rip City? Technical difficulties. For some reason, I don't know how this happened. Make sure when you set up your virtual machine, you have plenty of disk space. Yeah, size 9 point. Did you really just set up with 9 gigs? I mean, that technically should be enough, actually. I think I just used the default when I set this up. Did it really just use 9 gigs of disk? Like usually you would use, like 60 gigs, so you have plenty. Reclaim play space. Oh, I can resize. I really like UTM. I can literally resize this. That is cool. Let's see if I can resize this one. Yeah, it only gave me 9 gigs. That's minimum. No, it says minimum size 64. I don't understand what happened. I thought it said 64. I'm going to go to 100 gigs. I'm going to resize it. I should probably just delete the disk now. And yeah, I don't know if it's actually going to work because if I didn't delete the disk. And I'm almost out of time too. Very cool. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that happened right when it happened. Perfect timing. Let's see. All right, let me share real quick. Well, hopefully you all know how to install Linux now, at least. Let's see. So when I first boot it, try install Ubuntu. Let's see. Yeah, it says display is not active because it's booting into the GUI. It'll say that for a few seconds. See, everything else I said works. Just stupid disk space. Okay. Let's try this again. I've got 5 more minutes to try this. Let's see, normal installation, don't download. That's what happens when you do it live. See, it already detects it's already there. Install. Yeah, I'm just going to erase disk and do it again. Because if you try to install it, I never liked doing that. I never liked, something messes up and trying to install it again. There's always something out of place. It just never works correctly. And I'm never sure. Maybe it'll work, and then for a while something will go wrong. Like, oh, it shouldn't have. It went wrong because, because there's some subtle bug somewhere. Some package didn't get installed. So I'm erasing disk, trying it again. Now it's copying files over. Let's see if we can install this. Yeah, it's live streaming. That's so funny. I never that's the one thing. I was like, I gave it 64 gigs. Now I gave it 100 gigs. I still don't understand why that happened, because I know this thing doesn't take that much. In Ubuntu installation, a few hundred megs, give yourself, maybe a couple gigs at most just for the installation. You install more software, of course, it's gonna be more. And it needs room to expand stuff and packages and compression. I get that too, but you shouldn't need over a few gigs. I'm gonna look up what the minimum disk space for Ubuntu installation. Let's see, 2.5 gigs. That's for the installation. I don't even know if it takes that much once you get it fully installed. Weird. That's very weird. I should not have ran out of disk space. As Gamma suggested, it may be on my actual Mac that it didn't have enough disk space to actually claim that much, which I just checked it. It seems okay. It's interesting. Ooh. Yeah, Mac does a bunch of funny volume stuff too. Volumes virtual box. Yeah, I may have actually run out of disk space on that. So let me delete a couple things. Oh, yeah. Remember when I said don't pay attention to the partitioning? You don't really need to worry about that. All that stuff. Well, Mac, they take it to the next level. They make it where they partition in a certain way where you literally have to pay attention to it sometimes. So I'm going to delete a few streams that I've downloaded to clip, which take up quite a bit of space. I believe that's what happened. Can I do it before the installation fails again? Can I do it? It's a race condition. I'm racing. All right, I just did a bunch. Let me do a bunch more. I've got like 20 or 25 streams that I haven't, that are just sitting there on the disk that I've already clipped, got rid of them. Okay, let me check it again. Okay, I think that was the problem actually. So yeah, so on Mac, it only gives you a little bit on the root file system, only the /, and the rest of it saves for different volumes, different stuff like that. And when I had the virtual machine set up, it was in the, I don't remember what directory, but it was within that file system, which isn't very big. It's only a few gigs. So I only had like, under 1 gig left there. It was trying to install, it died. So this should work. This should work. I didn't even think about that. All right, guys, I gotta hop off. As soon as this is done, I'm just gonna click around for a minute. I'm gonna hop off and then I will continue this again. You guys enjoy this? Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me go back to, where am I? StreamYard. I just use VPS, delete boot. Yeah. It's not a bad idea too, but I think so doing it locally with the virtual machine, I don't know. I think I have some PTSD from just paying so much on the cloud lately. I've been trying to get the cost down for validators, and I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to use it for testing much anymore. I'm going to use it for a little bit, and then I'm not going to use it for. I'm going to try. Maybe I'll start using virtual machines more for that because they're free. However, yeah, DigitalOcean does work. I have a guide for DigitalOcean, by the way. I have a doc that tells exactly how to do it. There we go. All right. So we have finished. You can do continue testing now, and you can start clicking around. You can use Firefox. Hey, there's Firefox. Here's the browser. It's going to be really slow as soon as I click it, right? Here's Firefox. You can click around, do all that stuff. Also, command line is in here too. Yeah, I'll show more of the demo and like the playing around Ubuntu in the next one. But for now, we're going to restart. Yeah, so we installed Ubuntu Linux there. I'll probably go through the installation again, a clean one, next time. But I'm going to reboot, wait for it to reboot. Yeah, another thing too, I run validators in cloud, all that stuff. But I think for people who are trying to get used to Linux, it's good for them to learn virtual machine software. That's another pro for that. A lot of them are just not going to create a cloud account. If they do, they're like, oh, I don't know what, I got to use a private key. What's that? How do I do private key? Oh, what is SSH? How do I remotely and all that stuff? So yeah, both ways work. Both ways work. And that is almost like you. Come on, reboot. Reboot. Hurry. Why aren't you rebooting? I'm about to manually reboot this thing. Okay. manually rebooted it. Actually, that does happen sometimes with virtual machines. They can get stuck once you get past the installation on the disk. No, it's still doing the. It's not what I wanted to do. So in this, I'm going to eject the disk. I'm going to literally remove the disk from the settings, so it will not try to boot from that anymore. Because it just tried to boot from the image again. But I've already installed Ubuntu. So, all right. No, that's trying to boot from that. Okay, that's my cue. It's trying to boot from that again. So next time I'll do the installation again and we'll go through it very smoothly. But that's or maybe I'll just go and explore Ubuntu. Yeah, Mr. Chuck, 98, you got blue screen death. That thing still happens. Blue screen death, it still happens today, funny enough, even with Windows 10. So use Mac, use Linux, all that good stuff. Software is hard, bits. Software is hard. All right, everyone, that's all I got for you today. Hope you learned a little bit about installing Linux at least, and a little bit of trivia there too. And yeah, maybe I'll do another one and go through the rest of it. Scivive and 5555. Have a great day, everyone.